Hi. So just wanted to share a really beautiful aspect that's almost a byproduct of healing the body. When your body shows you like a symptom or a pain or something that's going on, and you go down the path of following that and healing it, so many more aspects, so many more healing potentials can come out of that. Kind of like the it would almost be the side effects, but they're positive, like the positive side effects that kind of evolve from just taking that one step in whatever symptom your body is sharing with you. You take that one step and you listen and you follow it through all the way, and so many more aspects are potentially available. So in my case, yeah, I had no memory or recollection of certain old injuries. I didn't even know. I mean, even if somebody would have reminded me, oh, that injury that happened, at this, does it, do you think about it? Or I wouldn't have known that it mattered in any way. But that's just what I think is so cool about healing the body. So a few years ago, in yoga, I had noticed that one of my legs was stronger than the other. And I mean, seriously, to the point to where I couldn't stand on one leg. I would have just fallen over. It would give out. So everything that I had been doing up until that point, it was all willpower, and I would be creative in ways to like not put weight on that leg or etc. It was really awkward because there was no pain or numbness or anything involved. There was no back pain. There was no anything except that just I couldn't stand on that leg. It would just fall out. So I started dedicating to healing my low back, knowing that I did have an injury, a pretty serious injury where I got launched really high up in the air off of a horse and landed on my coccyx, kind of broke my tailbone to my sacrum, and I did herniate discs in my low back. So I know that had happened, which I know that nerves were pinched probably. And I think that was affecting the reason why I wasn't able to build muscle on that leg, because there was no blood and energy flow to that leg. It was kind of all blocked. So I ended up healing that. And so it's just that one symptom that opened up this path to healing essentially that my whole structure in that area. And this is over the course of a few years, really. Just layer after layer began unpeeling and healing. And then also it was me adding in certain tools, different herbs, different other tools that I have that my body just began to kind of tell me the information. This is what we need now. This is what we need now. And the healing just accelerated. And it got to this one area in my body where I kind of it kind of opened this whole path that I was like, yeah, that was actually a really bothersome part of my well-being for most of my life. I had always felt like my femur, and so actually the other leg, that my femur was not in the socket correctly. Like I could tell maybe like one hip was a little bit higher than the rest, and I could just tell when I stood, like one of my feet was slightly in front of the other. What else would happen? But the most thing that would happen that this area bothered me is because like when I would ride horses, I would always have nerve pinching in that hip. And so I always had to like adjust my leg. It was always like I would have to adjust my leg, and then it felt normal, and then I could like continue on with life. And this was a really big deal in so even before my full-time career riding horses was most of my 20s, but before that I used to swim competitively, and even in swimming I could only do the breaststroke. So definitely there was something going on with, well, I have to say, like, I didn't know why I could just do that really well. Like I was really strong in the breaststroke, but I couldn't really do any other strokes. it just, the structure of my low legs just wouldn't really work. And so this last kind of chunk of time, I had recalled that I had been forced into the splits when I was, goodness, I think I was in third grade. It was somewhere between third grade and fifth grade. I remember my gymnastics coach forced me down into the splits. It was when my left leg was in front of the other, and he forced it down to where everything popped. And I remember just wanting to burst into tears. And so that's the memory that flooded. So just this last week, the memory that flooded into my mind was what I was feeling at that period of time after that happened. The memory flooded in the way I acted to my parents. It flooded in the way I acted to the other people around me. It flooded in the way I responded to him. And it flooded in the way I communicated after that. I started remembering extremely finite details of that period of time. Like, I can't even believe the things that are possible for us to remember. And so a few months ago, though, I did remember this injury as we were healing. I was working with healing, just continuing to heal the legs and to heal the structure and the low back and all the muscles involved. This particular area that had been forced, it had been popped and was obviously extremely injured. I had remembered, so a few months ago, I remembered that injury even occurred. I hadn't remembered for my whole life. I didn't know it mattered at all. And so when I remembered that occurred, then it was really neat because I became a little bit more aware of how serious like the pelvic floor was, and that I should maybe focus on that area a little bit more, the tendons and ligaments that go into all of the joints in the pelvic floor and the hip and the femur. And so as I began to focus on healing that area, and when I say focus more on healing that area, it would be like I would get a treatment and I would, share that area is necessary. I would personally, I changed different herbs to help with healing that area. So that's just what I think, that the body is so interesting. It will just, as it heals one area, it starts opening up and showing you others. And then I also work with plant medicine that I feel it has made a huge difference in the nerve damage. So there's the herbs that end up helping with the tendons and ligaments and blood and muscles. In Chinese medicine, we have these just amazing genius herbs that will nourish the blood, relax the muscles so we can go deeper and deeper and deeper. And then there's also a Kong and water aspect for me, that just having that hydration at the cellular level made the huge difference in me being able to even go this deep to these the oldest injuries that I had as a child, to even go in this area and start opening those up and healing them. That deep hydration was definitely a part of it. But then also the working with the plant medicine, the healing the neurons, the neurons and the nerves in the whole body. As I was working with psilocybin, I could feel my nerves in that exact joint that was popped, and who even knows how much I tore in that area. I don't know. I never looked into it. I never said a word about it, but working with psilocybin, that entire leg, that whole joint, all of the nerves are just started just tingling. I could feel that they were repairing themselves. And and then the memories, I could also, just because of all of the new memories flooding in, psilocybin does also work with healing our brain health and our neurons. And I think that trauma is such an interesting thing, like the layers of healing trauma is what I'm becoming very aware of. And the layers of healing trauma is, the body is just absolutely amazing. But so, I had remembered in that period of time, which has so much to do with the way we raise little girls, right? Like, I just had remembered, like, kind of like the shame I felt when it happened. Like here this man forced me down and totally busted my body. And I felt scared and shameful to say anything about it. You know, you're so raised to be polite and nice and make sure everybody likes you. And fuck, like, I mean, I don't know if had I been raised differently, would I have said anything? I don't know. I mean, I do know that I was in shock when that happened, but I also know that I just remember like feeling, so that's the other part of healing the trauma. And I don't know how much I need to talk about this in this video right now, but I definitely have been writing about it, and I will share more about it. But the trauma that had come with just being raised in a certain way where you are shamed into for what you share, you're gaslighted for what you share, the things that, you know, our parents were so abused and then they abused us, and it's just these levels, and we get better with every generation, but it causes extreme extreme traumatic events. So I think I'll just stop it right there. I just wanted to kind of share that, just how amazing the body is and how these memories flood in, and I can't just say like, you know, just do this one thing, or it's just this one herb, or it is the peeling of the layers, and it always starts with taking that first. Your body shares with you what it wants you to focus on, and you just have to take that symptom and go down that quest, and then it'll start opening up and sharing with you how much more is possible.